So meanwhile, people were being injured left, right, and center, and they're just being hung out to dry and being told safe and effective, fair and timely access. And meanwhile, they have debilitating injuries that prevents them from any sort of meaningful quality of life and also meaningful being able to financially support themselves. And this was sold to the public as a way to counteract and mitigate risk when none of it was even ready. And millions of dollars just went right to Auxero, formerly RCGT consulting firm, who also housed and held a vaccine passport checking system for the federal government. I mean, the conflicts of interest here were just massive. And then when I exposed that, they pivoted and rebranded to Auxero. And here we are to today, where Member of Parliament Dean Allison, Conservative for Niagara West, has launched an Allison inquiry. I would say 5 years too late, but better late than never. And so they are collecting the stories of vaccine injured Canadians all across the country. And they did an update on Parliament Hill today. I think it's been about a month since that was first announced. And so we have a clip here of Dean giving an update, of Mr. Allison giving an update on the Hill this morning.
Over the past several years, Canadians experienced the pandemic in many different ways. Many families lost loved ones to COVID-19. Many frontline healthcare workers and first responders carried an enormous burden, and I want to once again thank them all for all the work they continue to do every single day. There are also Canadians who suffered serious adverse events following vaccination and who feel their stories have not been adequately heard. Regardless of where someone stands in the broader debate, every Canadian deserves to be treated with dignity, respect, and compassion. When people come forward with their concerns about their health, our first response should never be dismissal, it should be listening. The individuals sharing their experiences with the Allison Inquiry are not statistics. They are mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, friends, and neighbors. Their experiences deserve to be documented, examined, and understood. Good public policy depends on public trust. Trust is strengthened when governments and institutions are willing to ask difficult questions, follow the evidence wherever it leads, and acknowledge when people have been harmed. My position remains simple. Compassion for those who suffered from COVID-19, compassion for those who were injured following vaccination, and a commitment to transparency, accountability, ensuring people have the opportunity to tell their stories. Canadians should never be afraid to speak, and governments should never be afraid to listen. Since announcing the Allison Inquiry just over a month ago, the response has been overwhelming. Hundreds of Canadians from across the country have reached out to share their experiences. Many have spoken about their physical, emotional, financial, and personal challenges they continue to face today. Not everyone is comfortable testifying publicly, and we completely understand that. But we still want to hear your story, because every story matters, whether it's shared publicly or privately. We've also heard from members of Parliament from different parts of the country who have been contacted by constituents looking for answers and looking to be heard. That is why emails have now been sent to every member of Parliament, inviting them to engage with this process, informing them of the opportunity for their constituents to participate.
Now, I think that at the end there, obviously, this is just my intuition and I have nothing else to go off of, but that seems like a bit of a sideswipe at the Liberals at the end there, or other maybe party members of Parliament who I would wager have been hearing from their constituents, wondering about the Allison Inquiry, and I'm trying to find it, and perhaps swaying them or deterring them from participating in it, because it is a bad look for the Liberals. They're the party in power. They were the ones who undertook this massive propaganda campaign. They rolled out these allegedly safe and effective shots, vaccines, novel modified RNA injections. And now that their promises are not coming to fruition, are entirely broken, and they essentially lied to the public about having their backs, and the government will be there to support you for the very, very rare instance that you suffer an injury. All of that has come crashing down on the Liberals. And I would say that any of their party members who are being contacted by constituents to partake in this inquiry, they're being perhaps advised not to. I'm trying to find it, but someone had sent me previously, I did a report on it a couple years ago, where someone who was trying to get through to this, which was a massive, as I've already mentioned, filibuster rate from the onset, but nothing has been done to change anything or fix the problem. They reached out to their Liberal MP and they were like, we're not getting answers on this. We're struggling. You know, our health is in decline. Everything's in disarray, our financials, et cetera. And we need some help to get through to this and start getting some compensation to help with our situation. And the Liberal MP was basically like, I can't touch this with a 10-foot pole. And I would suggest you just wait for your appeal to go through. They were like, we're not doing anything about it. And so if that's still the same sentiment now, a few years later, I think that that's a bit of a sideswipe at the Liberals for not facilitating or partaking in this inquiry.
Well, and we know what happened to people who tried to report vaccine injuries. So when we look at what's going on at VISP, that's not the full story, because those are only the vaccine injuries that make it through to VISP. But there are a lot of doctors who would not report vaccine injuries for fear of repercussions that they were seeing instantly, but also long-term. Everybody knows somebody who got a blood clot. I know 3 people who got a blood clot from the vaccine, Lise Merle being one of them. She talked about it on air, so it's okay to talk about. But I've met a few people out in the wild, like Rebel News supporters, who are like, look, I didn't want to lose my job. Blood clot. Blood clot. A perfectly fine young man who worked in mining now walks with a cane because of the stroke he had because of the blood clot. Everybody knows somebody who has a vaccine injury who's not even captured in the scope of what we're talking about here, or weird health outcomes. All of a sudden you're allergic to something that you were never allergic before. And you like, oh, 2 days after a vaccine, I'm allergic to whatever's in my sunscreen. Like there are all kinds of crazy little instances that aren't even captured in all of this. So we'll never know the scope of the damages here.
No, we'll never have a full picture because, and I featured that interview with ER physician, his name is eluding me at the moment, Patrick Phillips, who was sounding the alarm on that by, I believe that was March or May of 2021. So that's very early in the rollout. We knew these things were happening. Mainstream media was ignoring it. The government was, censoring, silencing, smearing anybody. And I wanted to play the other clip of the woman who stood alongside Mr. Allison on Parliament Hill, because her story just reaffirms and confirms all of that reporting over the last few years, and it still is happening to people to this day. We can play that clip, but also I did find the email of the MP who was advising their constituent not to do interviews about this and not shine a bad light onto it because it would perhaps compromise their claim.
Blackmail.
At that point.
Blackmail. Yeah. Shut up or you won't get your VISP claim approved.
Yeah. Don't talk about it. Yeah. Let's just play the clip of the, her name is...
Michelle Wharton.
Thank you. Michelle Wharton, who is a medical professional, built a career, had a highly successful dental practice in British Columbia, had to sell everything, including her business. She doesn't get into it in the clip, but you can watch the full parliamentary press release that they did this morning. And she had to sell everything to go have brain surgery in the United States because Canada keeps ignoring and disavowing their promise to have her back.
Any chance of any ongoing support from the VISP? Instead of addressing
it was the clip mounting... from Twitter or from X.
It's in the chat, Olivia.
I'll reshare it here. It was just her, and this is again, like I think a fraction of her full, her full speech on Parliament Hill this morning, which I'm going to do a report on it, but I would urge anyone who's interested to just go and watch that whole thing.
We are still living with the consequences of the past 6 years. The exhaustion, the division, the distrust, the damage that never truly healed. There has been no acknowledgement, no meaningful support, no medical care where promised, no accountability. A society that refuses to learn from its past eventually relives what it failed to confront. I live with vision loss, nerve damage, loss of feelings throughout my face and my limbs, and ongoing white matter brain lesions. I experienced difficulty maintaining upright position, balance impairment, and relentless neurological pain. Sharp electric shocks, burning sensations, zapping, pain, numbness occur every single minute of every single day for 5 years. Brain inflammation, all due to an immune response that has never resolved. Ongoing cystic masses in multiple organs, including my brain. I spend 90% of my life homebound, bedbound. No family should ever have to carry the burden after trusting and receiving a Health Canada approved medical product. We have been left behind. We've been disregarded. This injury stole my independence, my quality of life, time we can never get back, and replaced it with uncertainty and loss.
And I see silence. I don't see any mainstream media picking any of this up.
No,
just complete crickets.
Well, because to do that would admit, they'd be forced to admit the role they played in this, in convincing people that this was 100% safe and effective, and they should leap at the first opportunity to take the vaccine, regardless of their personal objections to it. I mean, remember the Toronto Star headline?
Yeah.
Demonizing the unvaccinated. We should ban them from dinner. Maybe we should put them in camps. Like, it was the most vicious, despicable Toronto Sun graphic that I have ever seen. You think the Toronto Star is going to participate in fairly covering what Dean Allison is trying to do? Absolutely not.
Even Global News, when Rachel Gilmore was employed there, she put out that 45-second TikTok. So you might not want to invite your unvaccinated super spreader family members to your Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the stuff that was coming out in the media and on social media at that time.
Yeah.
Don't invite anyone unvaccinated to your family gathering, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter dinners, all of that stuff. It was being promoted that you would segregate your own family based on their medical records. I mean, that is just medical apartheid 101.
Yeah.
But we said we would end early and we're not. So let me get to this quick chat and then we'll wrap things up. So Field 10 gives $5. Thank you. My guess is that the money for meeting the NATO 5% target will need to come from corresponding social spending cuts.
I hope.
Whether Canadian or European politicians have the will to do that is uncertain.
Look, I'm for social spending cuts, as long as it means a corresponding uptick in our economy and employment rate, right? So we're not cutting out the vulnerable. You know what I would like to see it not spent on? Gender wang nonsense. I'm using that phrase twice in the same show. Cut the gender wang nonsense global affairs spending.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care what the feminist basket weavers are doing on the African continent. I don't want to fund it. I don't see what the benefit is to Canada. Let's stop. Let's stop spending billions of dollars there and focus it back home. We need a Doge. Doge cleaned up all of the American global spending on crazy things abroad and at home. I would love to see that here and see some of that money just not spent at all. And the stuff that we feel like we need to spend, let's spend it on the military and on border security and fentanyl fighting.
Yeah, we don't need gender just rice in Vietnam. That's for sure.
No, I don't need to encourage the lady farmers of Southeast Asia to grow crickets, which was a global affairs spending initiative.
Absolutely absurd.